and just would ask that we would continue to walk in the light of your life. And we ask for your direction in this meeting today. These things we ask in the name of your precious Son, Jesus.
2021 for tax purposes.
Okay.
So the taxes and everything restarted for 2021.
Okay, but it's gonna come out of 2020 budget?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure that we still doing that.
And I would like to address the court. We have some questions regarding the holiday pay for exempt employees. I know that the court announced it. It's been a little over a year ago since the court made comment in open session that exempt employees are not to get the holiday pay for even for working the holiday or working in excess of 40 hours unless it falls within the realms of a disaster policy, which we have paid some if they work the holidays because of the disaster policy. We have some others questioning why they're not getting paid. And I believe one that I would like to, first I'd like to get the court to go ahead and make sure that we're all still on the same page. And two, I'd like to get it sent over to get into the personnel policy manual, which has not been, revised in quite a period of time. But so we can get it in there and get that back into court so we can have it documented in the same way so that we're all on the same page. And we have another one here. This is involving Captain Patterson that she's been requiring to, I don't know all the details. I received it this morning that she's been required to work 7 days a week based on something to do with the law enforcement part of it, the county jail operations, I believe.
She has to submit daily reports to the state every day on COVID updates in the jail.
And that started since July, I believe. So she may or may not have had any days off, and I don't know all the details behind it. But she may fall under a COVID type of deal which is within the realms of the disaster policy. So we may need to discuss her holiday pay for sure, outside of the realms of the exempt personnel as well.
But Corey, like exempt employee, you're talking about if an employee works 4 days this week and Friday's a holiday, they still get 5 days,
Correct.
5 work days, right?
Correct, but in her situation, she's probably working a lot more than 4 days a week.
You mean if they work the holiday?
50, 60 hours a week, but still only being paid 40 hours. And the same way with our office in the past is when we work in our capper situations and we work 50, 60 hours a week, we've never been paid that additional holiday pay as well. Now the court, I know it's been a little over a year ago, said that yes, they should not be paid the additional, but it was never really in the court order, or it's not in the county policy manual or anything like that. So we want to try to make sure that we're all on the same page. We can get it in the personnel policy. If y'all want to pay that, if somebody's working 50 hours a week and you want them to still be able, during a holiday week, that they should be still paid that additional holiday hours, that would be a court decision. But we would like to get it in, an official statement and try to get it into the personnel policy so we can get it approved.
In Patterson's case, it sounds like it's in response to disaster declaration.
And her baby,
I think it would fall under.
Right. And I believe that. I said today was the first time that I've gotten anything regarding that she's required to work all these additional hours or however many hours that she's working or that
Have those been documented on in time?
According to this email that she has been documented, but I don't know all the details. I have not received documentation. I just got the email this morning, like I said.
Well, we had a former member of the sheriff's department, and it claimed anytime he had to work on part of the holiday, he claimed the whole day.
Correct.
Well, I did some further research after that barn door was left open and he was out, but on government employees, now, we have in our policy, we can pay her for hours she worked as part of COVID response. And I certainly think that falls within what we've got to do. But it's not if she worked 2 hours doing that report, she doesn't get the whole day. She gets the hours she worked at regular time, because she's not time and a half. But she does, according to our policy, we did that so we wouldn't take advantage of our exempt personnel in this case. So I think we need to separate that out. I think we need the information. I don't have any doubt, but I just don't know how much to pay her.
I couldn't answer that either without going back and looking to see.
Well, I think that ought to be submitted to court. But
yeah.
Chief, I do think, for that, she is eligible. she was out there, for the swearing in ceremonies.
Yeah, she's out there all day for that, well, not all day, you know, for hours, several hours.
Yeah. But I'm not sure I'd put that wouldn't matter which day it happened on, it's gonna be probably beyond, and I think the same thing Nancy was out there. So I think that comes under the expense tax.
That's, yeah, this part, but the code, I know she has to report 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You need to know,
Okay,
okay,
yeah.
Taylor, and you gotta keep the running tab every day, and all that, and where they're at, whether they're positive, or if it's quarantine.
Yeah.
You have to do all the reports and submit to, jail commission daily.
Yeah. But I don't think that was an 8-hour day, that was
No,
not.
probably not, but I don't know, we have to go back and ask her and get that all documented.
But the policy we passed, it does, we have to have substantiation, but we haven't set a real high threshold on that, so I'm not saying, let's go overboard, but let's get something that says it was these additional days. Or did she take any time off during that week to offset that or not?
She was, I know for a fact last week she was here all last week, so.
I'm gonna say no one knows that from days. So I think when you bring that, when we submit the documentation, and I think that's involved, we have to take action on that under our current policy. Corey, will that work for you all?
Yes, sir, I do believe that, hers was probably gonna fall within that policy, but like I said, I didn't get the information until this morning.
Right.
We get a report, payroll report that just says they have holidays, the exempt employees don't necessarily track their time, they just only holidays, vacation, sick time like that, so we would never be able to see the total number of working hours for one of the exempt employees in the sheriff's department. So, but I do believe it would, I believe you want to bring it back to court with the documentation and have the court approve, so. I'll pass that on to Darryl or you,
Okay.
whichever way. I'll respond
Judge,
to
do you
Darryl.
have your microphone
I'll be
on?
back and we'll work through that.
She's pointing to the mark. Are you muted?
Touch your hand.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else, Chief? Go with your structure.
Oh, yeah, this is from scratch, no,
Oh,
sorry.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor to approve the regular bills for payment and recognize submission and payment of the payroll. Motion by Commissioner Watts, Commissioner Muller, second by Commissioner Watts. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. Item 2 is discuss, consider, take action to approve mobile phone tax incorporated quote number 2012222, Wichita County SO for a radio in the reduced control office at a cost of $1,037 to be paid from 100.5060.4465 other communications within our lines determined by the county auditor. Chief?
Well, after we've got a patrol out there and we know where our speakers are at in the hallways, and we have a patrol radio in the patrol office, but because the supervisor's office is over here, they're having a hard time getting the radio, their portables to receive or transmit from inside the building, and they've not heard all the traffic on the radio, so we're asking for another radio to be put in their office so they can, it'll be like a telephone radio, they can actually hear it and then get on it and talk on it too.
We may have, it's that same telephone device, there's one that's just past the crank ones that might be in our storage.
It has to be digital, is that correct?
It wouldn't be digital, I bet you.
It would probably be digital at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was too, mobile phone, I believe, we can have a look at that.
Yeah, okay.
On that note, Judge, I'll make the motion to approve that, but I did have a question on, are we kind of heighten our tower watching to, have
Yes,
we?
we actually have, we've set up shakes all night long, and our deputies are checking those constantly throughout the night. Yes.
That could be a horrible thing.
Oh, yeah, it could be a real bad deal. But yeah, we have stepped up our patrols on that, and we're documenting every time we check them. So so we have a list of times that are checked.
Is that equipment involved in our tax insurance policy?
Yes,
Thought it would be, but it's got a very high deductible, but,
$75,000, but
yeah.
the thing is, our radios are on somebody else's towers.
Yeah.
And in the case of one of the things I was going to share with y'all this morning was, they're looking for donations to replace the equipment that was lost in that mobile phone or Texas tower that went down that we used for the weather spotter. And so their insurance covered the tower. It didn't cover that.
So we'd be in the same shape, basically, I would assume.
Yeah, but we have insurance, and I don't believe the weather people do it. But we still got a pretty high deductible. It's going to exceed probably the value of the equipment by far that we have on there, unless they have one of those major tower setups we have.
Well, I think the real problem with that is the downtime. You're talking months probably to get that back up and going.
Yeah.
That'd be a huge gap coming springtime with that weather stuff. So.
Well, that's the thing with this other tower, that's getting it back up, and they have said in that letter they're going to put them on the top so they'll have better coverage. But
It's why, it's way down the road. It just
well,
takes a while.
they do have alternate routing that they
Yeah.
do, but it's not as efficient as that. So. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Any other discussion? If all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Update on law enforcement center, Commissioner Baker.
Not a lot to report. One thing I do want to bring out to the court is Bella Brothers came back and they repainted the lobby, and I gave them a failing grade once again and made them address a bunch of issues with the paint job. Expressed my very much displeasure with their quality of work, and pretty much told them if they don't improve, then they probably need to find a new contractor.
What was the problem, Mark?
Poor workmanship, just very poor workmanship
Now, this is the repainting where.
of the lobby, third time around, and it was.
Of that specialty paint that takes
Yeah.
forever to get here.
Yeah, that they had to send back. Then when they did, they smeared paint all over everything. There were drips and all over glass, all over the metalwork. Left places unpainted. It just didn't look good at all. They got out and touched it up, and it looked decent Saturday. I didn't go over it with a fine-tooth comb, but seriously, if they can't do better than that, then they need to find somebody better. But that's, since we didn't have a meeting last week, that was the only really significant thing that took place.
But I will say the overall appearance of the building is really starting to stand out.
No, it does. Yeah, all in all, things are fine, but the quality of workmanship on that was just very substandard. And we don't need substandard quality workmanship on any facet of that building.
Any update on the cornerstone, on the time capsule, I mean?
Time capsule, I got a bunch of stuff, so I still think I need a coin from WFPD and FPD.
Be sure and put a face mask in the time.
Yeah, we got that set aside.
Wouldn't want anybody to forget.
All right. Any comments from anyone in the audience? Well, you get a call from the president, did you? Well, you got enough folks here, we're all right.
We're good here. We're good.
Bless his heart, I'll tell you. Anyone else?
How about those Rider Raiders? Yeah. They got a tough opponent this Friday night, though. Toledo's gonna be tough, but I
They're
guarantee-
always good.
Yeah, but Ryder's got a good defense, and they got a kid at quarterback that can get the job done, so I'm not gonna count them out.
No.
No, they'll play them tough, for sure. So hopefully
Where is the game?
it's in Denton. So not too far. So congratulations to those kids, so good job.
Mr. Finkel?
I really don't have anything this morning at all. Just want to say thank you also to the scouts. So also the one that we recognize, to me, that's a huge accomplishment. People don't realize the amount of work that goes into that. And I just want you to know that I appreciate the work y'all are putting into it.
Mr. Hall?
Wichita County Junior Livestock Show this week on a different schedule than we've been on in a while. Just kind of make note, and we're going to do it move in, show, and move out, basically. So it's not going to be the whole barn full of people and/or animals due to the COVID, which should make it go a whole lot better. But it will start actually move in tomorrow morning, and be showing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then of course the premium sale at 7 o'clock on Saturday. And wear your face masks and social distance, and keep your hand sanitizer close. We'll get this done, and we're just gonna have to be careful doing it, but it can be done. And I guess we play a football game. I guess we can show.
I
a
guess
plan,
so.
You know,
Heck, yeah.
But take responsibility. Let's keep this thing moving forward in a positive line. I'll tell you guys, it's just, everybody probably in this room has been affected by this deal now. 2 or 3 months ago, we were all kind of shrugging our shoulders and thinking, well, maybe it's just a big deal or not. But I'll tell you what, I think I could have attended about 12 funerals in the last 2 or 3 weeks. People that some of them I just couldn't go to, one thing or another. But I mean, it's come home, and there's just a lot of folks suffering from it. So just keep the faith, get the shot, wear your mask, and let's get through this and move on. We got things to do.
I guess the shot, Barry, will the general public?
That's been the big question, Judge, and you probably better quit talking about that than me, but I've had a lot of people ask me, well, how do we get on the list? Well, and nobody seems to know the real procedure, Judge. You may have some information on that, but I've had a lot of people ask me, and I really don't know.
It's on my list to talk about this morning.
Okay, good. That's good. We'll handle that. Thank you, Judge. Judge, appreciate you swearing me in, and glad to have everything on board.
I did get some calls from people asking me why I did that, but
I understand that. My preacher yesterday after church, he said, well, I see you got sworn in again. I said, yeah, sworn in today and sworn out tomorrow. So it's part of the deal. So, he said, yeah, that goes with, he said, trust me, I understand. So anyway, we appreciate that. Glad to get everything off to going. We got work to do. Let's get after it.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Watts?
Yeah, I want to add to Barry's announcement on the livestock show. The horse show will be Saturday morning. Sign up is at 9 a.m. They begin the show at 10 there at Impact, so keep that in mind and come out and watch. They've got some great events going on. It's expanded more than ever before, so you can just see some great Wichita County horsemen there, and that's always a good time too. And then that sale, like Barry said, will be that afternoon. So, and we can do those buyers list online, and there's a stock show now has a website that you can request that stuff, and it's on Facebook as well, so you can get a premium list if you need to see the kids that have made the sale on Saturday. We're moving forward with our project out there in the flooring and renovation in the break room and the restrooms at the precinct barn, and hopefully be underway with that this week, the latter part of this week. And it's been a long, slow process, slowly but surely, but coming together. And I spoke to Jack this morning in coordination to try to get the foreman together, if he would, to go to J.B. Klossner's and look at that smaller milling machine, as well as the rock box that they've got in inventory if we get in a tight, just so we understand and know what's there and available. And he's going to get with everybody and try to get a time that it's a easy drive just past Decatur off of 114 there, and they've got a lot of equipment on the yard to look at, so hopefully we can get that. Willie says that we should have some bids in by the 19th, isn't it, Willie?
Yes, sir.
And we would sure like to get some culverts ordered. We want to make sure we adhere to the grant rules and get some pricing on that. And we could go ahead and do some of that work once we're fully approved, so that would be good. We've been kind of holding off and used our inventory up that we've had, so. And then Willie, also, we're going to receive bids next Monday, won't we, for any of the stuff we've went out equipment-wise. So, but that's everything I've got, Judge.
We had some good articles in the Times Record News this weekend on the PACE project and on the solar farm. Commissioner Fincannon has already worked with a couple of different investors, and that's going to hopefully move along. And I will set up work with Nancy and Tracy, and we'll get the PACE on the agenda, hopefully to pass it in the next couple of meetings. It doesn't require to be published in a local newspaper. It does require to be published on our website. So we might do the first meeting next Monday, and I think the other one can happen a week later. And we'll coordinate with Lee McCormick to be available to guide us if we have any mishap. And while we're doing the questions we can answer, I'm going to speak to a group on Wednesday, and they were interested in that. And then the solar farm, we had a couple of meetings this week.
This is Mark.
One of those had not been set to talk with the ISD and some others, and just make sure we're doing our due diligence to go through the numbers. The school district, the way the law is on them, it gives them certain set-asides. They have no choice but to tax on that. And the article explained that in the paper today. But what we need to look at is how that applies with our county policy, is whether we're going to go tax abatement or we're going to go pilot program. And there's some advantages to both, and I really haven't found any particular disadvantages, so we need to go over those.
Could you hear it?
And Friday, Commissioner Beach and I have a public health board meeting. Last thing, Commissioner Muller, you mentioned the vaccination situation, and I sat in on some of the Zoom meetings they have had on it, and they talked about it. What I haven't found is a step 1, 2, 3 of how the vaccinations, you know, we hear the 1A, we hear the 1B, but we're not getting it quite down to how do we do, as has been done, other people line up and drive through and get vaccinated. And so I will be working this week. We've got to have the shots. Wichita County is not getting a wide distribution other than specifically North Texas State Hospital has received, both the campus in Wichita Falls and the one in Vernon have gotten considerable allocations, probably beyond their needs for patients and staff, and others that work, associated work with them, contractors that work on those sites. So we're going to look and see whether there's, what's going to happen to that distribution after they secure and do first and second shots to do that. Because people are wanting to, Dr. Hellenstand, Director of State Health Services, they sent out a deal saying, go ahead and vaccinate. Well, that'd be great, but we've got to have the vaccine to vaccinate. And right now, I'm not finding we have a great deal of that. do that.
Judge, are they crossing over too, or they, if Barry got the Moderna, and then can he go back with a different one? Or,
You know, when I was in medical school, we didn't discuss that. Commissioner, that's a good question, but I don't know. I was kind of surprised this morning when I was told that it's actually, you're gonna get the same shot again. I didn't know there was a vaccine, Moderna A and a Moderna B, but it's evidently, if you're getting the same thing again, it just boosts the other.
well, and what is the length of time if we got into a situation where the first shot's given, but then how much time do we have to
There's
make
a
sure?
difference in the two shots. It's either 21 days or 30 days, depending on which shots you get. They do give you a card. They ask you to hang on to that and all. I mean, but it's the trouble is right now we're limited. My understanding is, and I talked to Captain Patterson that's swearing in, and she said they were supposed to, I think they're scheduled for this week for law enforcement under the 1A period. The question is 1B, and the information being put out is check with your local, your family physician. There's a website you could go to that tells you where the distribution points are going to be in your county. You go on there and it looks like the state of Texas got measles and something else. But, I found that site just before we started this meeting, so I had it punched down to say, here's the 11 places in Wichita County that have signed up to be able to do vaccinations.
Now, what's happening across the street, Judge?
At the health center,
No impact,
that's the check.
That's just a testing site.
no vaccine
No.
handed out, or?
No.
Will we see that in that capacity go on?
Well, there's two things. Well, first of all, we have to have a supply big enough to set that up, and the second is coming up with enough medical people to provide that. And it's not like when you drive up, you get swabbed and you go away. When you get those shots, there's a certain amount of time you have to stay to wait to see if you're gonna have a reaction, and it's 15 minutes. So all of a sudden, you know, when you start pushing them out on this end.
Gotcha.
Well, this sounded real simple when they said the vaccine's here and we're gonna get started. and-
So
but when
we
you
have
stop
to
and
wait.
think about it, if you just say, okay, let's say 70% of the people in Wichita County decide they're gonna take the shot, and they all show up at the same place, same time, it's not gonna work very well.
No.
And I think that's what everybody's question is do we need to be signing up, or do we need to be, I don't, you know?
Well, and like I say, the information they're putting out is, they've given a number for the health department, and I think they're gonna be able to say, we're working on it, we're waiting for the Department of State Health Services to give the allocation for 1B in Wichita County, our general population. But right now, the most amount of vaccines have been delivered to the North Texas State Hospital.
Like 15 or 1,800, something like that, I saw this morning.
Well, that was just the last go around.
Okay.
They got 2,900 plus. And I'm not criticizing them. They don't know why they're getting them.
Absolutely.
So, but I have touched base with them saying, don't send it back.
Well, one of the things, the distribution of this deal, you can't just take a forklift, load this stuff on a fleet of semis and haul it all to the United States. It's gotta be cared for and
Right.
accounted for, and I mean, this is gonna be a difficult, it's gonna be just a little tougher to do than what our first impression was, I guess.
So, yeah, and there's such a difference in the handling process for the Pfizer
Yeah.
vaccine as there is for the Moderna. But, you know, I think we have 2 locations here that can handle the extreme cold units, and they've got those in place.
Can't just throw it in the Yeti cooler.
Be a great advertisement for you, yeah.
I mean, it's, once again, it seems simple until we get into the logistics of it. It's not gonna be a simple deal.
Well, and as someone said that, you know, the Moderna to have drive-through, but how do you put it outside and have that when you've got to keep it, and I don't know how long it can be outside of that temperature, so that's what people with medical degrees decide.
I'm gonna get one. I want the good one.
Yeah.
Well, so who's going through the line over here? Is it just random people?
Anybody, yeah.
Why would you go through? I mean, why?
If you thought you had symptoms, or if you'd been around somebody and you wanted to know, or you just thought, I've got to do something, so I'm gonna go see if I have or
That
not.
line's been steady for the last couple of weeks.
Do
That
what?
line's been steady for the
Yeah,
last couple
it
of
has.
weeks, so.
Yeah.
But, you know, right now it's the unknown that's bugging everybody. And, I had one former Midwestern student contact me this morning. I told him I'd look into that. And a doctor last night, I thought, gee, doctor, if you don't know.
See, they haven't even done all the staff at the hospital yet,
Yeah.
so I think that would be a priority.
I would
for-
think so too, Barry.
They're not near through everybody, so.
And what I don't know is who's sitting around the Ouija board deciding the allocation. It doesn't look like it's being done based on population or density of personnel. I can't tell.
I think the county judge is in charge of that.
Well, now, do you have to be negative in order to take the vaccine?
From the questionnaire I've seen, I believe you do. If you've got symptoms or anything, then, that, you know.
So, but you don't have to test before you take the vaccine, to our knowledge.
No, I don't believe so. I don't remember seeing that if you tested. It asks you if you have had a positive test. I think that's on there. So, you know, it's back to some of the problems, you know, the people at this level that are looking at it aren't talking to people that have to do the work, which is nothing unusual.
Government must be running this
Yeah.
judge.
Yeah.
Sounds like something we do.
But as I get information, we will put that out and share that. And, like I say, I had tried to leave that in the hands of the people I thought were likely ones to be included by the SHS for those decisions, but still not trying to do their job. I'm just trying to help facilitate that. Anyway, anything else? Okay, it is 10:40 and we will adjourn. We will have a meeting Friday.